And I'm back. This is your man Warrior for another video, and I'm going to do a character review of Jedi Knight Anakin, JKA. He's a light side character. He's a Jedi. He's human. Go figure. And he's an attacker. Now, I'm going to go over his attacks and abilities, his mods, how his mods actually should be, and then we'll go over his abilities and I'll show you him in action so you can check it out. Now, I do have him at max level 80 and I have him at 7 stars. You can farm him, and I farmed him the old-fashioned way through going through these nodes. Now, at the end, when you get near neutral in the cantina, you can get the 7G. If you can get that high, you can start farming him in the cantina with all the cantina energy in the world that you'd like to utilize on that. But I did the old-fashioned way initially, got through light and dark side battles, and then I finally finished him off when I unlocked the cantina section. Jedi Knight Anakin is awesome. He is a part of the new meta. A lot of people use him. He's an excellent, actually one of the top 2 best Jedi. I would say he's in the top 3 best Jedi for sure. Qui-Gon Jinn is obviously in the top 3, and Obi-Wan with his leadership abilities is definitely in the top 3. And of course, there's many other Jedi who are strong and very good characters. So I'll just go over his basic. Actually, no, I'll go over his mods first that I threw on him so you can kind of see what I have on him. So he is one of the few that goes to gear 11. And, down the road, if they decide to make him stronger, they can add a future gear piece here in any of these empty slots. Now, I happen to have a lot of health mods, and the reason for that is I have a great team that can go through the health, and I can sim the health mods at 5 dot. So I wanted to get a whole bunch of 4 and 5 dot health mods and slot them in here. Because I have a lot of characters who I don't use as often. Jedi Knight Anakin's one of those I've dabbled with, played with a little. He's pretty awesome, but I'm not currently using him in my arena team, but I do use him for Galactic War now, and that's pretty fun. So the first one I dropped in, the transmitter, the square, of course, is always going to be offense, so I put offense. Now, he does inflict negative status effects, and so this had a positive 3% potency as a secondary stat. That's why I added it. And I'll tell you where I went wrong with Jedi Knight Anakin for my modding is there's really not enough potency. He needs a lot of potency, over 60%. And you'll see his potency is only around 40% when I show you his stats. So I need to swap some of these health mods out for potency. And if you just saw my previous video that I was doing the Empire potency mod challenge, that's exactly what I'm doing it for. I'm trying to get those potency mods unlocked. And by the way, I got through tier 2, so that was cool. So I can farm 3 and 4 dot potency mods now. So I will go back, farm some of those, and switch some of these health mods out for potency mods. Probably at least 4 of these will be replaced with 4 and 5 dot potency mods when I can. But anyway, let's move on. So the middle left one is always going to be defense as a primary stat in the processor. Again, it had over 4% potency as a secondary stat. And again, I was trying to get him potency because at the time I didn't have any potency mods unlocked that were worthy. And then, of course, I gave him protection. Why? Because I love protection unless they're healers, and he's not a healer, so I gave him protection. It also had a little bit of critical chance on it. Then I added some speed. Now, this was only a 4 dot with 26 speed, and at the time, that was all I had. Let's see if I have one with speed on it. No, see, I don't have any other health mods with speed. So anyways, a 4 dot speed mod. It had a little bit of critical chance, just a tiny bit, a little bit of tenacity. But the primary stat in this is correct, and all the left mods, primary stats, offense, defense, protection. I mean, I went ahead and put in the proper mods in here for the most part. Of course, the triangle, I did critical chance. I really want his AoE and his primary to really do critical damage instead of just regular damage. And of course, this had some extra protection and added 5 speed for his secondary stat. And anytime you can get 5 or more speed on a secondary, take it. That's awesome. And then this bottom right one, what I need is it to not be tenacity. I need it to be potency. And I didn't have a potency to stick down here. So I went ahead and gave him tenacity. And it had or plus 2% potency on it and some additional protection. So this isn't perfect. It's not ideal. Really, it's not bad. The mods on him are good, but they are not as good as they could be. And if you go to look at his overall stats, he is very well balanced. His strength is exceptionally high. His agility is higher than average, and his intelligence is higher than average. So he is a very strong character. I have his health and protection combined over 50,000. And of course, that protection bump of 7,500 comes from that bottom left circle data bus. So you want to make sure you use that. Now I got his speed. He's already a very fast tune, but I got his speed up to 175. That's great anytime you can get someone's speed up really, really high. His critical damage is only at 150%, and this is why he's not doing the damage I see online on other YouTube videos. I do want to get his critical damage percentage up, but I currently have his crit chance up. So this will be some reworking with his mods. And again, I got his potency up about almost 10% to 37.51. Not high enough, of course. And if you can see, his tenacity is over 60%. Now that with someone like, Rex or Yoda, that's going to give him potency up, or even Kit Fisto on his AoE gives potency up. Those abilities, potency up, and tenacity up, like Yoda gives tenacity up. Anytime you can get a character that's on the team that does a potency up or a tenacity up, those are great. I know that Yoda works really, really well against Emperor Palpatine. And so anyway, the tenacity is great if it's over 60%. It'll give you a percentage of resistance on those. He has a small health steal of 5%. Again, most characters do have something. 5% is about average. There are some characters that do none and others that do more. His physical damage is all right. It's okay, almost 2,500. His physical critical chance, though, this is almost 55%. This is excellent. That's what I want. I want it to be as high as possible. And then, of course, he's got pretty high armor penetration at 40. His armor in himself is actually really, really good. I know tanks get between 30 to 45, and he's already at almost 30%. So that's pretty good. His special damage, not as much, and his critical chance on that special damage, not as much. So his basic hits a lot harder than his AoE. But his AoE, if it crits, does amazing. So this is Anakin. I show you the mods. I show you what you should be doing to him. He's level 87 star. You got to see his stats. I'm going to go through his attacks and abilities, and then we're going to go take him for a test drive. By the way, I love his lightsaber. That looks freaking awesome. All right, so Deft Blade Work. Deft Blade Work has an ability once I omega it to add plus 15% healing and buff immunity chance. So currently, where I have him at level 7 is dealing physical damage to a target enemy with a 55% chance. Of course, it's going to go to 70% chance to inflict healing and buff immunity. Now, buff immunity is great. It's excellent, and healing immunity is excellent as well. And it's for 2 turns, so a 70% chance to inflict both healing and buff immunity. This is his basic. This is what makes him a real workhorse on your team. I would definitely use him for this reason. I mean, keep them from healing, keep them from buffing. If you can hit their tank before he does his taunt, they can't taunt. So this is excellent. Reckless Assault is his AoE. It has a very short cooldown of 3, which is amazing, and you can increase the amount of damage this does by omegaing, using 5 omega pieces to do a plus 15% damage. I definitely am going to do this. Don't know where in my priority list he falls for this omega material, because I just obviously spend it as fast as I get it. But he deals physical damage to all enemies, and for each enemy that's critically hit, now that happens probably to 2 or 3 on average. For each enemy that's critically hit, so 2 or 3, he has a 25% chance for all allies to gain offense up for 2 turns. Now that's, if 2 or 3 get critted, he has a 25% chance each time, but really it's a pretty good 50-50 chance when he does this, somebody, he's going to end up giving the allies offense up for 2 turns. Now, for each enemy not critically hit, and that's, 2 to 3 as well, on average, And this is why your critical chance is more important than critical damage, in my opinion. That's why I have his critical chance up so high, because this plays into reckless assault. You want to make sure he crits, because it's highly important that he crits. If you can get 5 crits, you're almost guaranteed offense up for 2 turns every single time he uses it. And if he doesn't critically hit, there's a bit of a chance of being exposed. There's a 20% chance for each one that doesn't get crit. So get your critical chance up on him as high as humanly possible, and that way when he smashes the opponents, it's almost always a crit, and because of that, he's going to give everybody offense up. Of course, offense up is phenomenal, and you risk getting exposed if you don't critically hit. Now, the chance of getting critically or exposed is only 20% per crit not hit, and it's 25% for each crit for offense up. So the game has worked him in a way that it's much easier to do offense up than to get exposed, but getting him exposed does happen on occasion, and if you have a cleanser, someone like Admiral Akbar, you could definitely clear it off and not worry too much about it. His leadership ability is maxed, except for I don't have the Omega maxed ability, but his Jedi and clone allies will gain 22% offense, and maxed out, this is going to be 30% offense. That's a lot of offense. That is a lot of offense. And 20% critical damage. Now, this is cool because if you focus on critical chance for his special ability, he will, if he's the leader, give himself 20% critical damage, which will help boost him from the 150 base stat to 170%, which is going to do a lot. And then all other allies, if they're not a Jedi and not a clone, all of the other allies are going to get half that. So if you have this Omega, they're going to get 15% offense and 10% critical damage. That is still not shabby at all. And anytime an ally is evaded, they'll gain advantage up for 2 turns. So that's individually. Each time one of your characters tries to whack somebody on the other side and they evade, they dodge, they get advantage up for 2 turns. For the way I understand it, advantage up, basically, it ignores armor. So they get evaded. The next time they hit, their damage is going to be full. It's not going to be diminished by the armor rate of the other character. So this is a very cool ability. Now, where this comes into play as a leader, if he's the leader and you're going against an evasion team, we're talking about the Dooku's, the Luminaras, the Qui-Gon, or not the Qui-Gon Jinns, but the Obi-Wans. This is going to be a great leader for you. Now, his Achilles heel is a little bit Emperor Palpatine right now, but he still works on the team. I just wouldn't have him as a leader if your shard is filled with a bunch of Emperor Palpatines as leaders. And then, of course, the last one is Righteous Fury. This is unique, and this is at max level. You cannot Omega this. It's a pretty cool ability. It says whenever another ally, so anybody on your side, falls below 50% health or dies or is defeated, Anakin gains an extra turn. He gets 100% turn meter. And on his next attack, he's going to deal 75% more damage. So anytime somebody dies or anytime somebody gets critically hurt where they're below that 50% mark, he's going to get a bonus turn and do 75% more damage. This is awesome, especially if you have a tank on your team, because they're going to get critically hurt. That triggers, when they go below 50% health, that triggers the tank to step in and help out if it's Royal Guard, or if you have another tank and you manually use your taunt, he's going to automatically get to go again, do a ton more damage, and you can hopefully get that character above 50% so you can re-trigger this again and just totally and completely destroy the other team. Now that you know what Jedi Knight Anakin's about, I would say that he is an exceptional top 3 character when it comes to a Jedi. He's usable in the Galactic War. He's usable on light side battles. He's usable in mod, there's mod challenges you can use him for on the Jedi for defense mods. He's usable essentially everywhere, and he is used on a lot, and I mean a lot, of top level characters as far as their shards go. So he is a part of the current meta, especially because he does AoE damage, and I've seen some characters really trick out his critical chance and his critical damage, and what they're capable of getting him to do damage-wise is absolutely insane. So let's go ahead and check him out, and let's do... And we're going to go light side battles, so that way I know I can use him. I'm currently out of Cantina Energy, so yeah, we'll go light side battles. And I've got 21, so it looks like I'll be able to do the very last. And if you look, there's Dooku at level 80 as the boss. He's an evasion guy, so this will be perfect. This is the highest light side battle. So I'm going to go ahead and hit battle. And let's see if I can get a Jedi. Or, oh, there's a clone. So let's go ahead and pick a clone, because he gives clones awesome abilities with his leadership abilities. Remember, Jedis and clones will get 22% offense and 20% critical damage. So we're going to make an all Jedi clone team, because we are going to do that because I want to. And we'll put Ayla in there. She's pretty cool. So this is a pretty awesome team. By the way, look to the top left. I don't know if you guys have ever noticed this when you're doing these battles, but when you get to do your 5 characters and then you get to add somebody in, the squad power gets to almost 50,000 when you get these high-level characters. That's pretty insane. It would be really fun to do arena battles where we could bring in some of our friends' characters and do arena battles with it. That would be actually quite fun. So let's go ahead and do this battle and see how we fare. I think we're going to do all right. All right, we got some GS across from us. Some Geonosian soldiers. That was fun. Let's go ahead and use the Reckless Assault. So he got exposed because there's a percentage if he doesn't crit, and so he critted on the right side, but he did not crit on the left side, and that gave him a 20% chance of being exposed, and of course the RNG of the game rolled it that he get his turn loss. But that's alright, my Qui-Gon Jinn just smashed for over 12,000. I tell you, everybody says the Jedi suck, but I'll be honest, there are a lot of very, very cool Jedi. I know that what happened was Count Dooku became the end-all be-all because of the Jedi, and they did a terrible thing to the Jedi with Count Dooku, but if you're not using Count Dooku, or people aren't using him anymore, the Jedi that they have out now are just absolutely amazing. Alright, let's finish these guys off. This should be pretty quick. I don't even know if these guys are going to get their turn. So there was an 8,000 power hit. That wasn't anything amazing. I've seen him hit for a lot harder, but this guy's a tank, so he has real high armor resistance. The character I was just hitting was a tank. So that was 87, almost 9,000. And we'll just work our way through, taking all these guys out. Just going to weaken some of them up. Kind of have fun with them, right? And that's why I hate Dooku. Now let's go ahead and do the Reckless Assault, and let's see how I do against all 4 of them. Should kill everybody but Dooku. And he gets his counter. I see Dooku hit as often as 4 times in a row. There's twice, and then there's 3 times. Super irritating. I honestly, of all the characters in the entire game, I don't know why Dooku just rubs me wrong. I just do not like the man. I unlocked him just a couple of days ago. I never farmed him until just recently. So, but his counter attack is highly irritating. There was a 12,000 plus crit, so that was a pretty good hit with Anakin. So anyway, I hope that this shows his basic and his special abilities, his leadership ability, and you can see how well they did. I just wanted to give you a review so you could really check him out and see what you think. If you have any questions on him, on how to gear him, or anything that I did with him, and you're having any questions on his attacks or abilities or any of the mods, again, remember, my mods weren't exactly how you should have it. It's just how I have it set. go ahead and leave a comment down below and I'll make sure to address those questions. As always, like and subscribe if you like these. Of course, I'm going to do a lot more of these character reviews. Jedi Knight Anakin is officially thumbs up. I would get him as soon as you can. He's definitely one of the top characters in the game. He's part of the current meta, and he will be long-term one of the top 20 characters they have. I'm sure of it. So I would definitely give him a high recommendation. As always, keep your gaming on. Warrior out.